Hi, my name is Ellis Stanley, and I'm a sophomore at Guilford High School. I started coming up with the idea because I participated in Abraham's Tent, which is a program at St. George Church. And during Abraham's Tent, people who are homeless from Columbus House come and stay for a week at St. George. Now my role there was to come socialize with the people who are homeless and just make them feel comfortable and make them feel at home. This was really eye-opening for me because I had never really had this direct contact with people who are homeless, and I saw that they had families and siblings and children and hobbies and talents, and they were just very not so different from you and from me. So this was the message that I took from Abraham's Tent, and it was so eye-opening that I thought this was an experience that I should take and try to bring to the community of Guilford and expand that and really show the whole community what homelessness really is. In Guilford, I believe the exact number of homeless people that we have are 2, 3, or maybe around 4. But the problem is that even though we don't see it every day and it doesn't feel close to home, it actually very much is, because in New Haven there's a very large population of homeless people. In fact, 14% of the entire state's homeless population is in New Haven. So it's a problem that is pretty close to home, even though it doesn't appear so a lot of the time to us. Some people fall into homelessness because of a mental illness. Sometimes they have big events or they have traumatic events in their life that cause them to just lose hold of being able to have a job or being able to sustain themselves. One of our speakers tonight, her brother actually fell into homelessness because of a mental illness that he had. And in the end, it's really the community that has to come together and help these people. Sometimes we look at people and we might judge them, saying that they are homeless for a certain reason, but there are a lot of causes behind that, and a lot of the time we don't see what's really happening behind the scenes. A lot of the time it's building a community around someone who is homeless and working together to bring them back into society. As I mentioned our speaker earlier, her brother, he ended up getting out of his homeless state because a lot of people came and helped him and surrounded him and pulled him back into the community and brought him out of homelessness. Having programs available to make them feel welcome so they can come, helping them not feel ashamed of it. When I was working at Abraham's Tent, that was one of the main goals, is to just make the people feel like they could open up and make them feel not like they should be ashamed of where they are, but it's just a stepping block and that we're helping them and that we're there to help them. Columbus House offers programs, they offer shelter, and really it's just having the organizations and having the opportunities there. The main message, I would say, is to show people that there's a person first and foremost behind a person who is homeless, and that we can't just see them for their homelessness or see them for their first and frontward appearance, but that they have a lot of things in common to us and that we're all more similar than we might think.
Great,
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Hi girls.
Hi.
What are your names?
I'm Emma.
I'm Clara.
Clara.
We're here to help raise awareness about the issue of homelessness and what the Columbus Shelter is doing, the Columbus House is doing to help combat it.
Is there any resolution to the homelessness problem?
I think the first step is really raising awareness about the issue. A lot of these statistics people just don't know. I didn't know until I made these posters this morning.
The sign that I have, it's explaining just that it would cost less to provide housing for these people than it does to power all the systems that are keeping them, like stuff like the Columbus Shelter, where they're helping people, but it would really be more cost effective in the long run to just end homelessness overall.
The Angels of New Milford were led by an archangel, and his name was Angel, because you can't make this stuff up. This man, Angel Salinas, and he's pictured here with Christine Mascott. He owns a restaurant in New Milford. Christine is his co-worker. Angel had emigrated from Ecuador to the United States a few years earlier, was in the U.S. now learning English, learning how to run a restaurant, learning our culture, and 3 days after he opened his restaurant in New Milford, my brother shows up at his doorstep looking the way my brother did. Angel extended and fed my brother every day for the next 9 years. This man fed my brother every day for 9 years. This Ecuadorian immigrant. You don't doubt that there's angels out there. This man happens to be named Angel. So amazing people. So one more touch on the family tree. Okay, so Ed and I are on the family tree. New Milford's the family tree. Now we're going to pull Ecuador into the family tree. Family tree is growing. Okay, it's getting big. It's getting strong. The other piece of this that was going on, unbeknownst to me, was there was a community care team that had come together in New Milford. So these are people from the community, the church, local law enforcement, social services, soup kitchens, shelters, all were circling around my brother. It's called a community care team. There's 15 of them in the state. This community care team had been talking about my brother for years. How do we get Ed off the street? How do we get Ed help? And I found out about the community care team while I was visiting my brother. So the community care team had come up with a strategy to, you saw an image earlier of my brother sitting on the bench. And you see the gash on his ankle. The community care team, and this was in September, the community care team approached him and said, we'd like to take you to Danbury Hospital to have the gash on your leg looked at. And this is a critical moment in my brother's life. He has choice. So he could easily have said no and go off on his way, or he could say yes, which is what he said. And that yes was the beginning of many yeses that he started to say. Community care team approached him, and on October 5th, he was taken to Danbury Hospital. Ed says yes to help and healing. Something in his mind shifted, and he decided to embrace help and healing. Because that was a great day. While he was in Danbury Hospital, it was determined, he was diagnosed with schizophrenia, he was medicated, and then it was also determined that he could not take care of himself by himself. So they called a probate judge in, and conservators were assigned, and I became a co-conservator at that point. So I'm Ed's older sister and his co-conservator. A co-conservator of the person, not of the estate. Despite the way that this building looks on the outside, this is where I saw the most amazing transformations in my brother. This is where I saw the biggest change in him. Because the people and the programs that are offered at Connecticut Valley Hospital turned my brother around. So you talk about you cannot judge a book by its cover. This hospital made all the difference in the world. They offered my brother yoga, he said yes. Do you want to take meditation? Yes. On-campus walks, yes. Movie night, yes. They said, do you want to have frequent day passes with your sister? Yes. Ed just started saying yes to everything. So Ed and I would go for these extended walks. We would talk very little, just have some quiet time together, just walk out in the woods. These were amazing times because I could see such a difference in my brother, because he was medicated, he was lifted, he was hopeful, he was healing. He was healing so fast that while we were at a treatment plan meeting in Connecticut Valley Hospital, they have twice a month treatment plan meetings. Ed would always be asked, Ed, what do you want from your life? And Ed would always say the same thing, I just want freedom. So at one of the treatment plan meetings, they said, Ed, you're too healthy to stay. So I thought it was the best feeling, and then I thought, where is he going to live? Because I live in a 700 square foot house with my son. I have no room for him. And Demas started to put into works housing. We got the photo ID, and he said, I feel like a person again. Which is something I want you to really think about when you walk past homeless people and you don't look at them. I think that's something that we all do. We want to look away, you don't know what to do. I think he felt invisible for years, and I think now that he had a photo ID, he felt like he was joined back, he was reconnected to the community at large. So another day passed, walking through the woods with Ed, walking through the woods with my brother were some of the most spiritual experiences I've ever had. We weren't talking, we were quiet. Ed loves nature, we were feeling it, and we were both healing. Ed's teaching me. They say, 75% of our communication is nonverbal. Ed is constantly showing me and teaching me, and it was very joyous. So I showed the picture of Ed on a bridge because it's a symbol, it's a metaphor, because housing came through. They found transitional housing for Ed in Danbury, and he was moved into a group home, which is shown on the picture on the right. He was moved into a transitional home in Danbury with 19 other people. There was 24/7 care, and he was reacclimated into the community. He bought himself a bicycle. He was happy. Joined us at Easter with our extended family here in Brantford. Even our dog is in the picture. Can't see him. So the book, The Hidden Life of Trees, is a book I picked up because Ed now has gotten me really interested in trees, and I'm fascinated by them. And then I start to realize, trees have it figured out. Trees know how to take care of other trees. The birch trees don't only take care of the birch trees. The pine trees don't only take care of the pine trees. All the trees take care of all the trees. And they all communicate, they act as a community. And I kind of think we could learn a lot from the trees. I think if we could behave more like trees, we could all be a little bit better off. In the name of collaboration, Ed and I were invited to talk on behalf of the Western Connecticut Health Network for the work that the community care team had done to get Ed off the street and into the hospital and into housing. And I called Ed and I said, we've been invited to share your story. Do you want to do it? And he said, I don't know, I'm kind of nervous, what do you think? And I said, you had a lot of people help you along the way, Ed. It's your choice, but you had a lot of people help you. It'd probably be nice to give back and help somebody else out there. So we were invited to go to the Garden of Hope, where we were invited to share our experience with the community care team. Their program was in danger of being defunded, so we said yes, we would love to. And because life is so challenging sometimes, but equally mysterious and beautiful, my son decided to go to McGill up in Montreal. So in the middle of Montreal is Mont Royal, which is a mountain which has trees. And guess where Ed wants to go? He wants to see the trees. A month after we returned from Montreal, Ed sent me a text and said, I'm thinking about applying for a job. What do you think? And I said, go for it. And then I didn't hear from him for like 5 hours, which was unusual. I usually hear from him fairly frequently. 5 hours go by and my phone rings. He calls me and he said, guess what? Guess what, Sissy? I got a job. He is a dishwasher and a busboy at Sesame Seed Restaurant in Danbury and happy. I have a video of the community care team that Ed and I participated in. It's about a 4-minute video.
We are leaving Danbury Hospital and we're just going to go quickly downtown area, see what's going down. I try to have as much daily contact with the downtown area as possible.
I think one of the unique things working at Danbury New Milford Hospital is that most of the people that work at the facility live in the community. So we really have a vested interest in making sure that the people we take care of, which are our friends, our neighbors, sometimes extended family, that we do the optimal best job that we can.
We don't have as many resources that some of the larger cities have, so we have to make more out of the resources that we do have. That's why CCT has been a great addition to our community.
So the community care team, it's a group of stakeholders from the community. So it's everyone from the homeless shelters and soup kitchens, mental health providers, substance abuse providers who come together in the same room, and we develop care plans for really our most vulnerable patients.
We have police officers who are community police officers who attend the meeting. We have social workers. We have experts in housing. We have experts in substance abuse. We have experts in behavioral care. Basically, it's having a dozen different sets of eyes and minds on the needs of a particular patient.
A lot of the people who are served by the community care team are just everyday people that may have gone through problems in their life that forced them, for whatever reason, to kind of be out on the street on their own.
They would be forgotten people. There would be people who would be coming to an emergency room repeatedly, but there would be no follow-up. There'd be no other additional supports for them.
Through the community care teams, we meet the patient where they're at. We help identify what would be the most appropriate services in order to provide that individual to get them back on their feet.
It is rewarding, but in the sense, diving into this work, it's not a everyday happy job. You guys met Ed. Ed is a great guy, and his sister calls him a miracle for a reason.
Ed was living outside in New Milford for 9 years, and the community care team put together a group that came together and came up with a way to help Ed to heal his leg and to get him housing and to get him medication.
People were expressing a lot of concern for Ed because he was in the elements. He did have an infection on his leg that was pretty traumatic. He was definitely exhibiting some mental illness. He was getting compassionate care from the community as somebody would buy him a cup of coffee, but in the same sense, he was never engaged in any mental health treatment or addressing any of the issues with him in his life.
Normally what I would do is I would email Peg when I was about to drive over to New Milford from Brantford, just in case there's anything I needed to know. And she said, actually, Kevin from the community care team in a mobile intervention unit just took Ed to the Danbury Hospital ER to have his leg looked at.
So I was picked up by the team and supported by the team. I spent some time in the hospital, and the hospital found me a place to live.
Watching somebody succeed is the best feeling that you can have.
I think one of the great things about the community care team is that you don't need to travel halfway around the world to find some worthy cause to participate in this. The needs are great right here in the city of Danbury and the surrounding towns.
My biggest fear is that I come into one of these meetings and I'm told, hey, we're not able to do this anymore because either funding ended or because priorities realigned.
It's fair to say that in these times where federal funding and state funding is at risk for our most vulnerable populations, that this work could not be done unless we had the support of the community and the support of our philanthropists.
I would encourage people to support the community care team. This is a team that would be able to do and manage outreach and follow-up support in a way that no other organization is doing currently in the greater Danbury area.
Without philanthropic support, we wouldn't have Kevin. We wouldn't have the other navigators, and individuals who need the most help wouldn't be getting it.
The community care team is making this community a better place.
We celebrated his 50th birthday on April 9th. It was amazing.
Yeah, we did. We had a good day.
I thought I was going to write his obituary, and I'm writing a book about my brother. That's how inspired. He's completely changed my life around.
Power of collaboration. That's what happens when you bring people, all like-minded people together to solve a very complicated problem. Because as much as I loved my brother, I needed all those pieces of the puzzle to come together. And I'm happy to say my brother is not here tonight because he is now working full-time, happily, and I think he has a girlfriend. He hasn't told me, but I think he has a girlfriend named Heather, and he's doing very well. So I just think I think the event that Ella has organized is terrific. I think it's fabulous to bring awareness to this because fourth generation American, Western Connecticut, the story doesn't sound like it belongs to us, and it does. This is my story, and it could be anybody's story. So I thank you all for participating. Is anybody else going to be sleeping out tonight? Excellent, fantastic. I'll see you out there.